Yo, what up everybody? It's Danny with Gardening for Gains, and today we're going to be doing a video on some unboxing. Got a ton of boxes here from existing and potentially new suppliers at A.M. Leonard. So we're going to start here with these boxes from Root Pouch and work our way through the rest of this stuff and start to get everything cleared out up here so that we can move on to our other videos that I want to do. And that's more like related to the flip life. But for now we're going to be sticking a little bit more towards gardening and growing supplies. So stay tuned and we'll bust through these boxes. Alright, so our first box here is from Root Pouch. Root Pouch is a fabric pot that is made out of recycled water bottles and some natural fibers as well. So it's a really sustainable product. Something I used in my garden a lot last year, and actually I've used it ever since the first time I started gardening. So I think the first plants I ever put in it were strawberry plants and some spinach, and they grew super well. Also used some another product we carry at A.M. Leonard called Grow Tabs. So basically it's just a little fertilizer tablet, like about that big. It's got some fertilizer in it as well as some beneficial microbes, including bacteria and fungus. So trichoderma is the bacteria, and then the mycorrhizae was the fungus, and that formed a really what that does is helps form a beneficial relationship with the root system. So that that kind of helps protect against disease, drought, as well as increasing fertilizer efficiency and uptake. All right, so let's dive into this box from Root Pouch here. So we've got a little reading material here. This is probably something I should have taken out at work. But it looks like this is some info on cannabis growing, which is, a huge number of growers that are using Root Pouches are probably using them for cannabis, even though they are super beneficial for trees. I use them in my garden for any kind of vegetable, from tomatoes to lettuce, herbs, turnips, onions, pretty much everything. The only thing I didn't grow in Root Pouches out there were the raspberries, which I just threw in the ground. So let's see what else we've got here. So here's some other stuff as far as like their farm to table guide. And basically what this is, it's running through like all the different vegetables that you might see in a CSA, and then makes a recommendation as far as the gallon size of container that you would want to use. So this pretty much falls right in line with what I did, minus some of the smaller veggies. Like they're saying, carrots, radishes, turnips, onions, they should go in 3 to 5 gallon pots, which totally makes sense. You don't want to probably put it in anything more than that, but what I did was just buy 10-gallon pots. That way I knew I could grow tomatoes in every single one, plus just to have that extra soil. One thing I found with using Root Pouches is that you have to be really cognizant of how much you're watering your plants. So the 10-gallon to me seemed to hold a little bit more water. That way I didn't have to water as much, and the plants aren't struggling as much, because I don't have an automatic irrigation system on it just yet. So let's dive into the actual product here. Pull out all this packing material, save that for the flip game. eBay life. Pretty much every box that I get from like Amazon or wherever, I'm always saving my stuff so that I can repackage and send out stuff that I'm buying at like Marshall's and flipping. So here we go. We've got some newer products. New product from Root Pouch. Would love to hear your thoughts. And this one is actually called a Canna Pouch. So obviously for cannabis, and it's kind of interesting like being in this field because growing up you hear how bad marijuana is, or just drugs in general, and now it's like we're actually diving into the science behind it, and it's more than 30 states have legalized it in some form, all across the country. Hemp is finally legal as long as this new farm bill passes. So that'll be interesting because that'll unlock a whole new grain crop. I don't know how profitable that is. I haven't looked into that as much, but it's just kind of interesting to see how the market is shifting, how the world is shifting so quickly. I never would have thought that like my job would have anything to do with marijuana or, whatever. I never thought I'd be in this job anyways, but it's kind of crazy to see that this is such a real and legit business now. And that's the important thing, is that it is a business. And, obviously you're going to see like your Cheech and Chong characters, but now if you go, look into the space, there's a lot more people in suits, and there's a lot more people that just look normal, and it's just they're transitioning their business into that because it does make so much economic sense. And why not? If you can grow tomatoes and make $10 per square foot, or you can grow cannabis and make $1,000 per square foot, those numbers are made up. I'm just saying that's kind of what I've seen as far as like the difference between like veggie growing and cannabis, and why some people are switching, like especially Canadian greenhouses. So it's interesting. It's really crazy to see, and really more than anything, I'm just hoping that it brings more people closer to horticulture, and people kind of realize, okay, it's not, maybe you aren't going to be a pot farmer, but you can be a vegetable farmer. You can grow shade trees. You can start a landscaping business. You can work in this as a supplier. It's crazy. There's a lot of tangential and adjacent opportunities, I think, and that's something that we just don't talk enough about, because we talk about STEM. We think everyone needs to be a scientist, a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, and people just aren't practical. So anyways, back to the topic at hand here. This one here is a charcoal color. Obviously, as you can see, this one's got the blend of natural fibers. Oh, here comes the pups. This one's got the blend of natural fibers. Actually, I'm going to bring this up here because it is kind of important to see that this is really made from water bottles. So, apologize here. So as you can see, that like whitish fibers. There's also like some blue. We got terrible lighting up here, so I'm gonna try to fix that the next couple of episodes. But so these charcoal bags, this one is 150 grams per square meter, and it is a natural fiber blend. So it says a favorite for the professional cannabis grow room. We've got a lifespan of 18 to 24 months. This one is a single use, so one and done, which you're going to see that more than likely with just about any growing operation, whether it's cannabis or a tree grower. It's all about keeping that environment pristine and making sure you're not, you just really can't reuse your soil, because there is disease. And these are pretty cool. It's a nice low profile pouch, which is something that they haven't had. Some of the 1 gallon pots, it might be a similar like diameter, but they're a little bit taller, so it's a little awkward, but perfect for like a tree. This one I think would be great for like lettuce or spinach, or really herbs. Herbs would be great. Like a basil plant would look awesome in this. So let's see what else we got here. So like I mentioned before, it's breathable. You've got the root control, creates a dense fibrous root system, and it does that one of two ways. Either as the roots grow towards the edge of the pouch, they're going to get hit with air. That's, as it said, it's breathable. So as the air goes through there, when the air hits the root essentially dies, and then that at the point where it dies, it sends a flush of hormones back to the plant to produce a ton of fibrous roots. So that those are called feeder roots. So you're going to get a lot better uptake on your plants. And that also happens, uptake of like nutrients and stuff like that, water. And this also happens if it grows into the fabric. So when it grows into the fabric, that fabric is actually choking the root tip. And again, same kind of thing happens. The root tip dies, sends a flush of fibrous roots growth back into the soil. So looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pouches here of this style. We've also got some thin black ones. So like I said, this one, the gray one's a 150 grams per square meter. That's a round pot. And then we've also got here, these are the black pots, and this is more like a square pot. Once you get the soil in there, it does kind of flatten out. And this one's only 90 grams per square meter. So this is for like younger plants, propagation, and it kind of goes back to the cost savings, for those for those younger plants, but at the same time, it's also about the degradation of it. So this is going to be like a 12 to 18 month pot. So, you can use, and you can use these on any plants. Like I think these would be great for trees. I've got some tree seedlings or tree seeds that I need to start. So that's probably what I'll use these for. On the ones where I don't have to worry about, doing vernalization, which means like some seeds, like an oak tree, it needs the cold to actually overwinter the seed, so it mimics its natural location. Like in nature, it's going to fall, it's going to be in the soil, it's going to have snow and wind and ice and all this stuff over it, so that actually helps certain seeds. So for those, we'll put them outside. The other ones, we'll try to find a spot inside for them. So we've got a few of these. Yeah, so these are 1 gallon pots. So that's like, typical for a young tree, a seedling, even like transplanting into that. Because, more than likely you're going to be growing plugs, transplant into that, which will then transplant into some of these larger ones, which we've got fill in the rest with. Yeah, some of these might be going back to work because everything in here is more cannabis specific. And I think this other box down here is from Root Pouch as well. So I think these are the ones that were sent specifically for me to test in my garden. These are probably more for our cannabis growing customers, but we'll still kind of run down the line here and just go through what else we've got. So we got some more of these 1 gallon pots. Probably not, honestly, I'm probably not going to be able to use a lot of the 1 gallons, but you never know. So let's see what else we've got here. These are 7 gallon pots. So this is more of like what you are going to be using in your final plant for an indoor grow operation. 7 gallon is one that I've seen people using. So let me open this up just to see how big it is. I believe it's just under 12-inch diameter. So, and honestly, this is kind of one of the problems of Root Pouches. Not talking bad, but just like getting everything set up. So, having the bag open. So that's something I've kind of been trying to look into as far as like finding a funnel or something, or making a funnel. So it's a little bit easier to deal with the filling of these, because I think that's one thing. I know that they do work with potting machines. So if you have automation, that's an easy solution for you. But if you don't, and you're just doing this in your backyard, you kind of have to figure out the right way to use them. So, filling a little bit in each one of them and then going back over. So let's see what else we've got here. I think these are all probably going to be 7s. Yeah, so 7 gallons. So 7 gallons actually a pretty good size, I think, for like tomatoes, or, it's not the greatest for tomatoes, but you could definitely make it work. But, something like maybe like peppers might fit a little bit better into this, because they are, a smaller plant. So we've got some 7s. And then 3 gallon, that also seems to be a really popular one for cannabis growers to use. A lot of people are using this in like what they call a sea of green growing method. So what they'll do is like set these up really close, and then when you look into the greenhouse or the grow room, however they're doing it, it looks like it's just nothing but green. And that's just because of like they're doing small pots and doing it more for the square footage than trying to get the most yield out of one plant. So kind of an interesting method. And again, I don't know that much about growing cannabis, just trying to kind of like, slowly gain this knowledge, and like, every day you're always learning something new. So that's another really great thing about this, is like there really isn't a ton of research that's been done on cannabis. And, as people are growing it and finding their own best practices, it's really, the industry is changing every day. So that's something that's really exciting about it too. And then here's some 5 gallon pots. So this is another good one to use in the garden. Anything from like raspberries to, I think blueberries would probably be good, but 7 to 10 gallon probably be better for them. But 5 gallon's great. I actually grew some tomatoes in 5 gallon last year. And it was pretty good, other than the fact they got too heavy at a certain point, so the pot, you know, wanted to tip up. So you just have to like find that right balance, and like 10 gallons seems to be working like primo for me. You know, I'm even considering going up to 15 just to hold a little bit more moisture. You know, maybe extend that root system a little bit and drop some more nutrients in there. That might help. You know, so we'll kind of just test it out and see what works best. But so that's it with our first box. That was our cannabis box from Root Pouch. So probably most of that stuff's going back to them, or back to work, so that we can hand out some samples. So I'm super pumped. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or anything else you'd like me to see or answer, dive in deeper, drop a comment. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and as always, I appreciate it.